Breaking news out of Oklahoma, where the death penalty case with Julius Jones is now in the hands of Governor Kevin Stitt. Today, the Oklahoma Pardon and Paroles Board recommended Jones' sentence be commuted. The board voted 3-1, with a fifth member recusing himself in favor of Jones' commutation. This is a story that has gotten lots of attention over the last several weeks as he was nearing an execution date. Joining us now is Reverend CeCe Jones-Davis, Justice for Julius Campaign Director, and Julius' sister, Antoinette. Glad to have both of you on the show. First and foremost, y'all were there in the room. Take us through exactly what happened as the board discussed this. How long were they there? How much time was actually spent discussing this commutation?
So it started with the Howe family, and every party had up to 20 minutes. And then after the 20 minutes was up, then the Pardon and Parole Board would ask questions. And so there was no time limit on the questions asked. So after the Howe family, then the state presented their case for 20 minutes. And then after the state presented their case, there were a few questions asked by the Pardon and Parole Board. And then there was Julius's defense team. And after that, there were questions asked. And then after that, they took a 15-minute break. And then they came back and they brought down the rules of how things were going to go, how the victim's family, after the votes were counted, then the victim's family would leave first, and then we would leave second. Excuse me, the Pardon and Parole Board would leave first, and then the family would leave, and then Julius's defense team and members would leave. So after that, I will say, after they voted 3-1, it still hadn't clicked in my mind. And so the very first thing that I thought was, I need to pray for their family, because they had to go back all the way over this. They had to go back and present their case. It was rehashed for them. So I know it was very hurtful. Yeah. So us getting that win, it was still like, I still felt pain in that room.
So this was a statement from the chair of the board, Adam Luck. I believe in death penalty cases, there should be no doubt, and put simply, I have doubts in this case. I cannot ignore those doubts, especially when the stakes are life and death. Now, Julius has maintained his innocence after he was convicted of killing insurance executive Paul Howell in his driveway more than 20 years ago. So now explain to folks what this vote means. First of all, when you say a commutation, does that mean that that Julius can be sentenced to something other than death? Does it mean that Julius is going to be freed? Does it mean that this leads to another trial? So exactly what does this commutation actually mean?
Yeah, great question. So commutation simply means it changes your sentence from one sentence to another. And so, of course, we were asking for a commutation of time served. The board today voted to recommend life with the possibility of parole, which I believe Julius is already eligible for. And so that's still good news for us. It's still good news for Julius. And so what happens next is that this recommendation goes to Governor Stitt's desk. And there's not, as far as I know, there's not a set amount of time where a time frame for him to respond to this or sign off on this. But now he deliberates over the issues in the case, takes the recommendation of, hopefully takes the recommendation of his board and commutes Julius's sentence.
But so this is, I guess, where it's confusing. So if you have the chair who says he has doubts in this case, okay, what did he have doubts about? Doubts as to whether Julius should be sentenced to death, or doubts as to whether Julius is actually guilty?
Yeah, he had doubts about whether Julius was actually guilty. I don't think you could have sat in that room today and heard Julius's defense go through every detail of the case, of the issues, and not come away with doubts about Julius's innocence, Julius's guilt. And so I think they came to a conclusion in their own minds and hearts today, the same conclusion that the supporters, we have been we've had for quite a while now, as we've been fighting for Julius's life, that Julius Jones has been on death row for 22 years for a crime that Julius Jones did not commit. And I think his defense made that perfectly clear in that room today. And I understand that Mr. Luck had to put out a diplomatic statement, but anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear could have heard today that Julius is an innocent person.
Now, the family did speak, the Howell family. One of the folks who spoke was the sister, Megan Toby, and she said, quote, "I know beyond a doubt Julius Jones murdered my brother." The governor does not have to follow the parole board's recommendation. He can follow it. He can amend it. He could, or he can simply ignore it. And so explain to the audience what's next. What's the next step? Is it waiting to see what the governor does?
Yeah, the next step is to, turn our attention towards the governor's office and to try to talk to the governor's folks, if they will allow us, about why this case has been so important to us, why we feel like he should take the recommendation of his board. One of the things that the governor said when Julius's case was really starting to make national news was that he was listening to the people and that he was going to deeply consider the recommendation of his board, and he was not going to act without the recommendation of his board. And so I have to trust that Governor Stitt is going to do what he said he was going to do, which was listen to the people and take the recommendation of his board. Listen, Oklahoma is a hard state, particularly when we're talking about an issue like the death penalty, when we're talking about issues of criminal justice reform in any way, right? It's a challenging state. But I am just believing that that we've come this far by faith, and we're gonna go the rest of the way.
And obviously there's been so much attention that has been around this particular case. Did y'all get a chance to actually talk to Julius today, and what did he say? How does he feel?
So I talked to him this morning at 7. He called at 7:01. The first thing he said was, "Are y'all ready?" And I said, "We're ready, bro. We're ready. We're ready for you to come home." He said, "I'm ready to come home." I've been waiting on his call, just giving thanks to God for us coming this far, because they could have executed him 22 years ago. Yeah. But God. But I'm waiting to hear his voice. I'm waiting to hear his reaction. I'm thankful that one of his other lawyers was actually down there and able to talk to him after the ruling. So I'm just waiting to hear his voice and what he has to say.
We certainly will continue to watch this case to see what the decision is. And you say that there's no timetable on the governor's decision, so he could decide in a matter of days, or he could literally sit on this for months. Right.
Absolutely. He could. And so we're hoping that he decides quickly. Time is of essence. This man has spent 22 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. And so it's time for him to come home. It's time for us to expedite this, get the man home, and let's all move on.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate both of you joining us to give us this information. Reverend CeCe Jones-Davis, thanks a lot, as well as Antoinette Jones. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, CeEEK.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, there are 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, used for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at CeEEK.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out CeEEK.com and give it a try.